I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Peter Bonfitto, and as well as being a cooking enthusiast, I'm Carrie's brother, and I'm going to be helping her co-host this event today. I want to introduce her. So Carrie Bonfitto. Board certified in holistic nutrition, Carrie Bonfitto is a popular chef, cooking instructor, and health coach. She earned her degree in nutrition counseling from Bauman College in Berkeley, California, and her digestive mastery certificate from the Institute of Nutritional Endocrinology. She was trained in the culinary arts by the New School of Cooking in Culver City, California. In addition to her private practice, Two Hearts Nutrition, she teaches healthy cooking and nutrition classes at LA Valley College, LA City College, and through Jewish Family Services. Follow Carrie on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Her new cookbook, What to Cook, Why to Eat It, will launch on September 1st, which is right around the corner, and is available on Amazon for pre-sale now. So without any further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Carrie.
All right. So great. So this is my new cookbook. I am so glad that you guys are here with me to celebrate its launch and its opening. I guess it's an opening, I don't know. But so this book has been 6 years in the making, and I really started thinking about it when I started teaching healthy cooking classes at LA Valley College. And it was really wonderful for me to work with the people there and figure out, what health questions they had, but also, what cooking struggles they had. And I really tried to put this into one book. And one of the things that I learned is that when people are trying to eat healthy, they often don't think about everything that's going on with what they're consuming. Sometimes they forget, they need to have a healthy breakfast, not just a healthy dinner, or that snack is also really important. So my book is divided into sections like that. I start right off with beverages and just really tell you about beverages and what you really need to be thinking about, and your sugar consumption and your hydration, and how important just really some of the small, simple things are. But I go through every meal that there is, breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, and even those guilt-free desserts, which we're gonna get to make today as well. So I wanna show you what we're gonna make. All of these recipes are in the book. We're gonna be doing these goat cheese cinnamon bites. That's our first recipe. And then we're gonna move on to cauliflower chickpea curry. And then we are going to do the chocolate banana nut ice cream. So we've got a lot of yummy things to do, but I want you to know that this is more than just a cookbook full of recipes. It is also got a lot of health information. So this is the section on fiber. And so it really talks about why we need fiber and how to get enough fiber and foods that are loaded with fiber. So you're gonna get more than just the recipes, like I said. So for the goat cheese walnut bites, I know Beverly is cooking along. The first thing you wanna do is get your goat cheese out of the fridge if you haven't already, and just get that softening. And then we're going to move on to the nuts. So these are walnuts, and these are walnut halves. So they're just kind of really nice and big instead of the pieces. This makes it easy for us to use them as part of this dish. So all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put about a teaspoon of avocado oil on these nuts, and we're gonna roast them to get the flavors out. So the oil is gonna help to bring out the natural oils in the nuts, and it's also going to help them toast up without burning. And then I'm gonna do a couple cracks of black pepper and a little bit of cinnamon. And this is the cinnamon is wonderful for blood sugar regulation. So if you, at any time you're struggling with blood sugar control issues, maybe diabetes or pre-diabetes, the more cinnamon that you can add into your foods, the better your sugar regulation is going to be. So it can be really helpful. All right, so these are simply tossed around, and then they go right onto a prepared baking sheet. And I always use parchment paper, just because it helps things not burn and toasts them up really evenly. So anything I roast, even if I'm roasting sweet potato fries or something like that, I always put that parchment paper down. It keeps things from burning. All right, so I've got my walnuts spread out. Those are gonna go into that preheated oven just for about 5 minutes. All right. All right, so those are in the oven, and now we can kind of take care of our goat cheese here. One of the things we want to do is make sure that it's, you know, soft enough that we can mash it up and add some really nice flavors. So, and to make it a little bit looser, you're going to add just a couple of tablespoons of water. And this is going to help us make it really creamy and help everything stick together. And I'm mashing this up with a fork. All right, so once we kind of get it to a point where we can really make it smooth, right? You may see, depending on how dry your goat cheese is, this can be more or less water, right? So every manufacturer kind of dries it to a different place, and depending on the age of your goat cheese, it'll change as well. All right, so into the goat cheese, we're just gonna put some dried cranberries. And I love dried cranberries because they're full of vitamin C. They're one of my favorite flavors as well. And you'll see in the cookbook, I'm using cranberries quite a bit in many of the recipes. And you'll see that I do repeat ingredients quite a bit. And this is just because I cook with what I have in my house, and I don't like wasting it. And so next I'm putting in some thyme. And thyme has vitamin C as well. And the vitamin C is so important because it helps us to turn off our stress response. So the more vitamin C that we can get into our diets, the less stress we can be. And what does that mean for us? So stress really helps us to form belly fat. So if you've got a lot of belly fat, that can be an indication that your body is putting out too much cortisol. So in order to support our stress response, vitamin C is one of the things that can be extremely helpful. So I'm just breaking this thyme up with my hands and getting that in there. And I love the fragrance on the thyme. Mm-hmm. All right. And smell, or can you smell yours too? Whoever is cooking out there. All right, so we're just mixing this up. You know, and the thyme and the cranberries, I think, make this really nice for the holidays, but don't wait for the holidays to make this. You know, you don't need an excuse to indulge in goat cheese. Goat cheese is one of the cheeses that is really high in a fatty acid called CLA. And CLA helps us to fight inflammation, right? So a lot of the grass-fed milks, so grass-fed cow milk, goat's milk is almost always grass-fed, and sheep's milk. So those types of cheeses are higher in anti-inflammatory compounds. So they can be really beneficial to our health. All right. So we've
Carrie, there's a request to just move the bowl a little bit closer to the camera, or maybe show the bowl. Perfect.
Yeah, so you can see this. It's all mashed up, and you know, it's still creamy white. I didn't add any pepper here. I added the pepper to the nuts. So once we have that, we can decide what kind of platform we're going to put our goat cheese. And so what I have here is some of my favorite crackers. These are flax seed crackers. And they are kind of interesting looking, right? They're gluten-free, but they're really crunchy. These have herbs already in there. But one of the reasons I love flax so much is because it's very helpful at sweeping estrogen out of our body. So if we've got extra estrogen hanging out, if we can increase the amount of flax that we're eating, that can help to balance those hormones. All right, so I've got my crackers. You could put this on a piece of crostini if you wanted to, or you can just use any crackers that you've got. Now I hear my nuts are beeping, so I'm going to take those out. All right, so those are great. So you can see the cinnamon on the nuts. You can see the nuts are not burned, but they are darker in color, so we know they're toasted. We can also just smell that fragrance. So I'm going to let those cool for just a second, and then we can top our crackers. So you can use a little cookie scoop if you want to do a little scoop of the goat cheese. My cookie scoop is not cooperating. And put them on the crackers, you know, so that can be a really nice way to serve them. Or you can really just get in there with your hands, and you can see that generous dollop I'm putting on there. It makes it a really nice bite. And you can also, if your walnuts are big enough, right, instead of the crackers, you can just use walnuts as your base. So that also, you would want a little bit of a smaller bite for that, but you can definitely do that and get these really nice bites like that. And then, so we need to top these, right? Because they need to look a little bit fancier. So we're gonna go in there with a little bit more thyme. And it's nice to get that really nice bite of thyme. And then this one has the walnut on it, so you don't need an extra walnut. But for these, it's nice just to have a little walnut on top like that. And those walnuts are loaded with healthy fats, good omega-9 fatty acids, which are really going to help with inflammation control and cholesterol lowering. So what do you guys think? How did you do, Beverly? Were you able to make those?
That's the one recipe I didn't try.
Okay.
I'm cooking with the other two, but it really looks good.
Okay, wonderful. Well, I'm going to give these a try so you guys can see them. But
do you want me to talk about the wine pairing for this?
sure.
So the suggested wine pairing with this, and I'm assuming lots of goat cheese dishes, this would work really nicely, is a Sauvignon Blanc from Marlborough, New Zealand, such as Kim Crawford or Joel Jott.
All right. Well, wonderful. Congratulations, Jennifer. I will be sending you one of the cookbooks. If you didn't win, you can definitely get it anywhere. You can get it at Barnes & Noble. You can get it on Amazon. I even saw it on Target's website the other day. All right. So next, we're going to do the cauliflower chickpea curry. And this is a great way to really get a high fiber meal in. And why do we want fiber? We want fiber for a few reasons, but one of them is so we don't overeat. Right. So fiber really helps to push on the stomach lining. And when that does, that happens, when we get that pressure in our guts, we actually get hormones sent out into our bodies to tell us to stop eating. So making sure we're having food that has a lot of insoluble fiber, like vegetables, can really be super beneficial. So for this, let's cut up the cauliflower. And I simply do this by cutting it in half. And then once you do that, you can see all the florets. So you can use the tip of your knife to kind of go in there and just cut off the florets pretty easily. And then it keeps the stalk, which the stalk is definitely edible. And you can chop it up and you can put it into this curry, but it is a little bit tougher. So if you're going to use the stalk, just start using it, cook it first, and then add the florets so you don't overcook the florets. So get those all cut off. And there's a lot of different methods. I've seen people go in with a paring knife and try to get the cauliflower off, but I prefer this method. All right, and then you can just cut these up. And you know, like, so cauliflower reminds me of like a little brain, right? Doesn't that kind of look like a brain? And so it's actually a mnemonic device I use because cauliflower is really good for brain health because it has a lot of chloine in it, and that helps to enhance our memory. So this is a great vegetable to add into your rotation if you haven't already. I know it's been really popular recently to have cauliflower pizza crusts and things like that, but I don't particularly like cauliflower pizza crust myself. I'd rather just eat cauliflower and make it into something delicious. All right, so once we've got those all cut up, we're ready to go with the cauliflower. And now I just want to show you a couple of the other things we're going to prep. Put these guys over here. We're going to prep some garlic and a shallot. So shallot, right, in the onion family, garlic, these are both sulfur-containing vegetables. And we just want to get these in there for some flavor. And usually you can peel it more easily once you kind of quarter it or half it. If you leave the root end intact, it's easier to mince it as well. Got the shallot. And this, I just kind of think of as a grid. I cut it like in layers. So it's like a graph paper. And then when you do it that way, then you get these little minced pieces. And it's easy just to do it that way and get rid of the root end after that. And this is the same way I cut an onion. You know, and these sulfur-containing vegetables are really important to help us with detoxification. So we really want to make sure that we are eating them if possible. You know, I know sometimes people have issues with their digestion when they eat the sulfur-containing vegetables. So you know you have to evaluate yourself, but and sometimes you can eat them more just a little bit at a time. All right, so now we've got our garlic, and garlic, the easiest thing to do is to mash it. And when we do that to garlic, it's really important. It's really important to crush garlic because it releases a compound called allicin. And allicin is the cholesterol lowering component in garlic. So and allicin only lasts for 24 hours after the garlic is crushed. So if you're in the habit of buying pre-crushed garlic, you're not going to be getting that cholesterol lowering component from the garlic. So it's really important to use fresh garlic whenever you can. And this can be, you know, just rough chopped. We don't need to go down into a mince for the curry. All right, so we've got our garlic, our shallot, our cauliflower, and now I'm gonna get the pan going. Let's see if you guys can come up here and see the pan. All right, I'll move you closer in a second. All right, so now we're going to use some avocado oil. I only use 3 types of oil in my cooking. I use avocado oil, I use olive oil, and then I use coconut oil. And that's just because those oils we can find unrefined. And a lot of times, because oil is fragile, right? So it's something that can't take a lot of heat before it actually becomes rancid. But avocado oil can go up to 450 degrees before it becomes, it goes to a smoke point and free radicals start to form. So we really want to just make sure we are using oils that can handle the heat. All right, so I put in my shallot. The pan's coming up to temperature. And I'm gonna put in the garlic as well. All right, well, that gets hot and those start to saute. I wanna show you my chickpeas, also called garbanzo beans. And let's see. All right, so you normally just buy these in a can because it's easy. But you guys, these are one of the most fiber-containing foods on the planet. 1 cup of these is going to give us 17 grams of fiber. And we need about 30 grams of fiber in a day. So if you aren't in the habit of eating a lot of fiber, these are a great, great food to add. In comparison, everybody thinks oatmeal is so high in fiber, right? But there's only about 4.5 to 5 grams of fiber in a serving of oatmeal. So that doesn't get you very close to your 30 grams. That's not going to do it for the whole day. And so what I'm doing is I'm rinsing these, right? So what I'm looking for is bubbles that are forming. If I see those bubbles, I need to get rid of them, because if I don't get rid of them, that's the phytates in the beans. And if we ingest those, or if we use the liquid from the can, it's going to give us tremendous gas, and we don't want gas. We just want fiber, right? All right, let's go back over to the pan now. All right, so our shallots are going. Closer. These are we just want to saute these a little bit so that we can smell the garlic. It's become fragrant. And then some soften. And then we can start adding some of our spices. So the first thing I'm going to add is ginger. And I'm just using dried ground ginger here because this is a dish I want you to feel like I can make it super fast on a weeknight. And I'm adding my spices to my oil. I'm not adding it to the liquid phase. And then this is turmeric. Ginger and turmeric are cousins. They actually look very similar. They're these long roots, right? And they're really great at helping us to get rid of inflammation in the body. They can help with digestive issues quite a bit. And they're also one of the foods that if you're having skin issues, because of their antibacterial properties, they can really be beneficial. So you'll see what I did is all of that oil got absorbed by the spices. And this is what's called blooming the spices. So we want to activate the oil in the dried ground spices with the oil in the pan. If we were just to put it into the coconut milk, then it would just be suspended in there. We'd still get the flavor, but we wouldn't get as much of it. All right, so next into the pan, we're gonna do a curry paste. So this is a Thai kind of curry, and I like to use, I do like to use some shortcuts. It can take you all day to make curry paste. And what you're gonna do is whenever you're buying anything in a jar, the most important thing to do is look at the ingredients. And you just really wanna make sure that there's no sugar in there. Or if there is sugar in there, it's down in at the bottom of the list, because we don't want to add sugar to our food. And this brand, there's only red chili, garlic, lemongrass, salt, shallot, coriander, and lime. So it's very healthy, and it is a jarred thing that we can use as a shortcut. So into the pan. And if you don't want this to be as spicy, you can use a little bit less of the curry paste. All right, and I'm also cooking this just like you would cook tomato paste, just a little bit to get it going. All right, and now we can put in our liquid. All right, and I'm using canned coconut milk. This is not the kind you get out of the carton. It's got more fat content in it. You can see the fat. And so I love coconut milk as well. Canned coconut milk, again, we're talking about fiber. So there's about 5 grams of fiber in that coconut milk. So we're just adding really healthy foods here. And fiber is important because we were talking about hormone balancing before, but we also need fiber to balance hormones. So it will sweep out, like we said with the flaxseed, sweeping out extra estrogen. It can help us to get rid of extra cortisol in our bodies as well. So I'm just gonna go in here with my whisk a little bit. And get those lumps out of the curry paste. Great, and then I'm just gonna add a few other ingredients here to the sauce. So a little bit of, can add a little bit of maple syrup, all right? And this is the real maple syrup. This is not pancake syrup. Just a little bit to balance out the spice. It's really just a couple of teaspoons. And then we also need some soy sauce or tamari. If you want to keep it gluten-free, you can use tamari, which is gluten-free soy sauce. So this is just our salt component. We put the pepper component in there with the ginger, as well as the chili peppers. So we're adding a little bit of salt now. All right, and then this is basically ready now for our main ingredients. We're just gonna pop the cauliflower in here. And the cauliflower is full of liquid, so it is gonna make this a little bit less thick. So the cauliflower goes in the pan. And the chickpeas go in the pan. And we can give it a good stir. Just get everything kind of coated. and then you pop the lid on. Just let that cauliflower cook down. What do you guys think? Pretty easy, right? Yep. I see Tony shaking her head. Pretty easy. All right, so while this is cooking, I'm gonna show you the avocado, which is the garnish I use on this dish. And then Pete's gonna do another giveaway. Right.
While you're doing that, Carrie, could I ask you one question about the maple syrup? Because I thought that was an interesting way to go. And so why is that better to use than just plain sugar or brown sugar?
So yeah, maple syrup so anything that has color, right, has minerals in it. And so minerals help us to lessen any kind of blood sugar spikes. So when we would look at the glycemic index of foods, then we're able to see how much that food impacts us when we're eating it. And the more minerals that are in things, the less that blood sugar spikes up and down. So the healthier it is for us, and it's more preventative against diabetes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you so much.
You know, honey is also in that category where it's usually considered to be pretty lower on the glycemic index. But we also have to remember we're not eating food in a vacuum, right? So a lot of the numbers that you'll see when you're thinking about, you know, sugar, it's like, okay, well, yeah, if I just have a teaspoon of sugar, that's going to happen. But what if I have some fiber, which slows the sugar getting into your bloodstream? What if I have fat, which slows the digestion of whatever you're eating? Then that's going to be not as big of a spike. So the healthy fats in here with the coconut milk are also important at just keeping that even blood sugar. All right, so onto the garnish here. Let me find my avocado, it's hiding. So I got an avocado, and I am in California, so it's kind of easy to find good avocados, but we'll see how I did. One of the things you want to do is when you want to be squeezing the avocado like this, not with your fingertips, but with your whole hand. And if it gives a little bit, you know that it is a good avocado. The other trick you can do is, as long as you're sneaky, because the produce people don't like you to do this, but you can pick the end of the stem off of the avocado and look at the color. You want it to kind of be yellow. If it's bright green, it means it's not ripe yet. All right, so let's see. So cutting an avocado. Avocados are one of the things that people cut themselves on the most. So I don't cut it in my hand like this. I always put it on the board, put my fingertips on the top, and then just rotate it on my knife. And then we can twist it, and you can see the avocado. And then you can do a little tap to get that seed and twist it again, and it should come off. And then when you're cutting these, I find it the easiest thing to do is just cut them in quarters. So you've got 4 pieces now, and then you can easily peel the skin off of the avocado, and it makes it easy to slice. This one fell apart. But we can easily now just slice our avocado into some pretty slices. An avocado is another food that is loaded with fiber and healthy fats. So we're just kind of piling on all of the good stuff in this recipe. All right, Pete, I think that has a couple more minutes to cook. Do you want to do another spin of the wheel while we wait?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me bring up the wheel again. And before I do that, I guess I should talk about this prize. So this is a cooking lesson for the ginger sesame stir fry, which if you can see my screen, if you have on speaker view, you should be able to see this is this delicious looking dinner out of the cookbook. And so that is the prize for the grand prize for tonight. Okay, I'm going to spin the wheel. Jennifer, that has a Gmail address, so we will contact that Jennifer as well. Okay, thank you all.
Is that two Jennifers?
The two different Jennifers.
Wow, awesome. It's a lucky name. Fantastic. All right, well, Beverly, you were cooking along, right? Great, so how are you all caught up?
Yeah. How high of a flame are you looking to boil this or simmer it?
Yeah, that's a good question. You can simmer it. You know, it's good to bring it up to a boil first, and then you know, mine is going pretty good. I'm going to show it to you. So you can see it's boiling. You know, and if you boiled it too hard, you can simply add some water to it. But all I'm looking to do, because, you know, vegetables, we really just want them to be cooked to our liking. There's no right or wrong way to cook these. They should be as soft as you like them or as crunchy as you like them. So that's something that when we're cooking for ourselves, we have that luxury of using our own judgment and letting our taste lead the way. So these are getting fork tender. And I think I am going to just plate this up to show you guys. But Beverly, if yours isn't how you like it, you can definitely cook it a little bit longer.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so let me get my spoon. And I'm just gonna really dish this out. Now, there's nothing wrong with having this with a little bit of brown rice, if that's your preference, or a little bit of some sort of couscous or something like that. I personally like to keep it lower carb, and we'll just have this like this. You know, I think there's plenty of carbohydrates. Vegetables are carbohydrates. So we don't have to add extra carbohydrates. We're getting all of the carbohydrate content we need when we eat vegetables. All right, and so put some of the, what is this called? This is called avocado. Put some of the avocado right on top. And then one of the things whenever we're using turmeric, we want to have a black pepper, because black pepper, the components in black pepper are going to make the curcumin, which is the component in the turmeric, more effective. So it's going to do a better job at getting rid of that inflammation for us when we add pepper. So there is that dish, and it's, you know, some unusual colors, but I think it's really lovely to have these bright yellows in our lives and in our diets.
It really was empty.
Say the wine pairing for that?
Sure.
So the wine pairing for that is a Riesling from Germany or France, such as Dr. Lucen or Pierre Spar.
Excellent.
And I just want you to know we're a couple minutes over time, but we're doing pretty good on time.
Excellent. Thanks, Kim. I'm glad that you like the way it looks. I hope you try it. All right. So the last recipe is super easy, you guys. It is a dessert recipe. It's a healthy dessert, no added sugar, and it has chocolate. It really couldn't be easier. So let me just get all of those things. And it goes right in the blender. So if you guys are cooking along, you can definitely find your blender if it's not already out on the counter. All right, so my blender is right here. I brought the jar over. The main ingredient is in my freezer. And it is bananas, frozen bananas. So whenever you have bananas that are going bad, I know I've been seeing with COVID, tons and tons of people making banana bread, but you could also be making this chocolate ice cream. So 3 bananas, and whenever I freeze them, I kind of break them up into chunks like this so that it's easier for the blender to handle them. So that's 3 bananas worth right into the blender. And then we want to add, like I said, the healthy fat is going to help us to balance out the sugar in the bananas. So we need to add some fat. So I'm definitely a fan, if you're eating ice cream, to eat high fat ice cream. If you're having Haagen-Dazs, do that. Don't get the sugar, don't get the fat-free kind. And when you're making your own healthier version of that, use some nut butter. So I'm using peanut butter here. People think peanut butter isn't great, but there's great peanut butters out there. You can get peanut butter that doesn't have extra sugar in it. You can get peanut butter that doesn't have hydrogenated oils in it, right? So just read your label, make sure, like this one, the ingredients are peanuts and salt. There's no oil in here. Peanuts are oily enough. They make peanut oil. You don't need extra oil to make peanut butter.
What brand is that? What brand is that?
Hi, Bonnie. It is Laura Scudder's. And I got this just at the Vons down the street. So not at the fancy grocery store.
Thank you, Carrie.
So I'm going to put 2 good tablespoons in here. You know, peanut butter does have a little bit more saturated fat than almond butter will, but it's 1/3 of the price. So if you're being economical, this can be a better choice for you. Or if, you know, for whatever reason, I make this with peanut butter, my son will eat it. I make it with almond butter, he will not. So I'd rather have him eat this than the regular ice cream. So it's fine with me. So let's see, we've got also some cocoa powder. This is the same stuff you use to make brownies, to make chocolate cake, to make chocolate frosting. It has no sugar in it. So we can use as much of this as we want. It's full of magnesium. It's got great antioxidants in it. I usually put about 3 good tablespoons with our bananas. All right, and then a little bit of vanilla, because chocolate and vanilla just are natural partners in a lot of cooking, and so we want to add this here so we get that flavor that we're used to. All right, and now depending on how liquid everything is in your jug, you might want to add a little bit of nut milk. This is almond milk, but you can add whatever nut milk you've got. So I'm going to start with that. I'm going to bring it, I left my blender base across the kitchen, so it might get loud, but I'm going to go blend that and we'll see what happens. Can you guys still see me?
Yep.
Okay, great.
Perfect.
All right, so as you can see, it's not wet enough. So I'm just going to add a little bit more liquid. and grab my spatula. You don't want it to make it into a milkshake. Although if you do go too far and make it into a milkshake, then you've got a milkshake. Not the worst thing.
And you're putting more almond milk in? Yeah.
I'm just looking for that right consistency where it's creamy enough, because the chocolate powder is very dry, right? So we need to give it some liquid. You can get in there with your spatula. All right, a little bit more. All right, that's looking pretty good. So you can see how creamy that got, right? We want it to be scoopable. And we can also, this is like a soft serve consistency. If you want it to be able to make those nice balls of ice cream, you can put it in the freezer and let it harden up a little bit. Get my ice cream scoop and just plate some of this.
Do you also do that in a food processor?
Yes, you can. It might actually just, it depends on what kind of food processor you have. If your bin of your food processor is too big, you might have to just increase the amount of the recipe. So use 4 bananas or 5 bananas instead. And so then you've got your wonderful chocolate banana ice cream, and you can garnish this with fruit or with nuts. I'm actually going to put some of those cinnamon walnuts on top here, just to give it a little bit something to crunch on, right? And there you have it. I'm going to take a little tiny bite because I need to taste it. I'll use my tiny.
Carrie, where do you get the cinnamon walnuts?
I made them. I made them for the goat cheese bites.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
And you can definitely, this is so creamy. It's so delicious, and it is sweet, right? We didn't put any sugar in there, and it tastes really great. All right. That's all I have to show you guys. That's kind of like a crash course in a cooking lesson. I do several classes online and also in the college in person. Hopefully they still are scheduled to be in person. And I'm also teaching at a new place called Waverly Bookshop, Cafe, and Cooking School, which is in South Pasadena. So if you're local to South Pasadena, you can join me there. My first class is going to be September 19th, and we're going to be doing some falafel meatballs and persimmons with cashew ricotta. So it's going to be a really fun class with a lot of Mediterranean flavors. So if we have any questions, I'm happy to stay on a little bit and answer questions if anybody's got some.
The ice cream's delicious.
Are you tasting it? Yeah.
Yep. It didn't get quite as firm though, even as yours did. It's more like pudding. But so what did I do wrong? Is it?
It could be just that you put more almond milk than I did.
Maybe. I think maybe I did. Yeah. But it's really good.
But if
I
you
think
put it in the freezer, it'll firm right back up.
Okay.
I think it turned out good, both recipes.
Oh, good. Are you trying the curry now? I see the steam. Can we see yours a little bit? See.
There's a notice right on front of my thing. Can you see it?
We can see the bowl. We can't see what's inside of it.
I don't want it to spill.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. You can just tell us how it tastes.
And this is the ice cream, which are like firmer, but I had to change blenders midstream because the first one wouldn't work. Mmm. Delicious.
Right. Yeah. And as the bananas start to defrost more, they'll obviously get a little bit softer too.
And the curry, I didn't put the avocado on it because I'm going to serve this tomorrow.
Oh,
I'm
yes.
saving my avocado. Excellent.
Well, good. I'm glad that you cooked along, Beverly. I
was fun.
appreciate that.
I took one of your classes at LA Valley College a few years back.
I remember you. I do. All right, Pete, did you see any other questions in the chat?
Well, we have another bowl of delicious looking curry.
It's
that everyone can see. I'm not sure if you can see that, but I pinned that window.
Oh. So
Here's
my curry. Yeah.
Oh, it looks really good, Kim.
Thanks,
Don't forget
Carrie.
the black pepper. Did you put the black pepper?
Oh,
on
no,
top?
I did forget the black pepper. I will put that. I also made the ice cream, but I don't have it in a bowl yet.
Oh, yeah, I can see it back there.
Yeah, that is. It's going to be great, I'm sure. It looks delicious.
Excellent. Well, thank you for cooking with me. I
Yes.
appreciate that. Well, I'm so happy
Thank
that
you.
everybody could take this time and join me for my cookbook release. I'm really excited to be sharing this with everybody and giving them some new ideas and some, just some bite-sized digestible pieces of nutrition. None of the information goes more than a page and a half. So you're not going to have to read a novel to figure out what to do and what to eat.
Thank you. And everything you made today and also in your class was simple to do.
Yes, I have to keep it simple.
Yeah.
I've got a 7-year-old, so he takes my time. Sometimes he cooks the recipes with me.
Thank you.
And so it's also nice to be able to do that simple cooking with him.
Okay.
Also, Carrie, I wanted to point out that everyone's invited to come on Saturday as well from 12 to 3.
Yes. Thank you for reminding me. I'm having a in-person book launch at the Waverly, the place I said in South Pasadena. That's on Fair Oaks Avenue. And I will be there from noon to 3. I'm going to be doing 3 different cooking demos throughout the hour, or throughout the 3 hours, one every hour. And I'm going to be making a lemon celery soup, a ginger sesame stir fry, and a stone fruit with that ricotta.
Lemon ricotta.
Lemon ricotta that I was talking about. Kim knows. Kim has been intimately helping me with all of this, so I appreciate her so much.
Thanks. You too. I appreciate you.
I just
Carrie,
wanted to
are
thank-
any of those classes going to be online for us out on the East Coast?
Yes, so there's Saturday morning classes
Uh-huh.
that are through LA City College. So I have links on my website, but that'll take you to the
Okay.
registration page on their website. And so some of them are going to be online, and they're usually 10 a.m. on Saturday morning. So it would be just a little bit later in the afternoon for you guys.
1.
Yeah, 1 o'clock. Okay, great. Thank you.
I wanted to share this Trader Joe's peanut butter. They have
Oh, there you go.
organic, and I've used the unsalted one. And the only ingredient is peanuts.
great.
It's neat
That's
and
also
salted.
a great choice.
Thanks,
Great
Carrie.
choice. All right, everybody, I'm going to sign off. I hope everyone has a really great evening. Please feel free to email me if you have any questions about anything. Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks, Carrie.
bye.
Congratulations.
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you
Thank
so much.
Carrie.
Thanks,
Goodbye.
thanks everyone for coming.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Don't forget to buy the book.
Mine came already. I got mine yesterday.
Yay.
Came in
Mine
the
will be
mail.
here next week.
Glad to see it.